Hey everybody, Aaron here. Welcome back to another anime review. Today we look at Irae, episode 3, or Day of Wrath, episode 3. Now, there was a comment I had on one of my videos, and note this, guys and girls, please do not dislike this dude or dislike anything he said. He made a comment. You can always disagree with my thought process. It's completely fine. I never have an issue with that. As long as you respect me to a certain semblance, we don't have a problem. You know, it was a little disrespectful what he said, but I let it go. He said that, yes, as he understood, episode 0 was very confusing, but the last few should have been very clear, apparently, and maybe I'm dumb for not understanding the plot. Now, listen, I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't consider myself dumb. I actually consider myself a very smart person. Am I the most intellectually savvy person in the world? No, I'm not. I'm not going to be getting a PhD or a master's degree anytime soon. But I consider myself still on a very high intelligence level. Now, Deus Irae is being watched by a lot of my friends, a lot of the people that I consider very focused on anime. They know their anime pretty well, and they've seen enough shows to kind of, even when a show has its cliches or tropes, they can figure out usually what's going on, and even more so, they have a good knowledge when it comes to anime in general. Even they are confused by what the hell is going on in Deus Irae. We're on episode 3, everyone, and it's starting to make a semblance of sense. It's starting to, very little bit. We're starting to finally see that Ren and Kasumi, for example, probably are from a lineage of something in the past. They're probably either A, reincarnations, or B, somehow have spirits that were attached to them. That's also a possibility. It seems like something might exist inside of Ren in the form of a past lover, or maybe even in general some kind of past force that took it upon themselves to kind of go into time and make sure that their lineage would stay alive somehow via supernatural means. I get that. Or at least that's what I presume is happening. If someone would tell me, hey, no, that's not accurate, fine, go for it. I would love for you to explain what the hell's going on, because honestly, it's not being explained very well if I'm not correct with this. You have on one hand a solid episode. This week's episode wasn't that bad by definition. We saw Kasumi starting to have these kind of weird, I want to say almost like 1,000-mile stares, and we saw that she has some kind of supernatural power. Even the beginning of the episode where she was cutting, like she accidentally cut a disc in half, or at least used her mind to do it. And we learn later on that was actually a power that she does indeed have. And we also see that Ren, as he, confronted that one girl, is starting to understand to a degree that there is something that is from the past now trying to make their plan go into play in the future. That is easy to understand. There's nothing high-level intelligence needed for that, obviously. But when we start getting into the weird concepts of the show is that we see that Ren actually wasn't the person who killed those people in episode 2. We find out that was actually Kasumi, most likely, who has been either being manipulated by Ren subconsciously or has a form inside of her that is also being manipulated by Ren somehow subconsciously. So Kasumi then ended up killing, various people and becoming this kind of like evil entity of sorts that, has been doing horrible things, etc. for the last couple episodes or whenever that started. But it again plays out to how we find out that most likely there are means of things going on in the past that are now coming to light now in the future. And we see that from the various scars that are now around the neck, because he looks like he was beheaded. And we see a guillotine that's being used by, I think it was like one of the people from the past. And it most likely is some semblance of what happened to Ren's past of some sort. So I'm thinking that either A, someone was killed, and before, or at least with their dying breath, they somehow moved and used their powers to kind of possess or go into the future or whatever, and to kind of go into someone else's body, aka Ren. And the same thing with the girl, who also maybe is either in Ren or in Kasumi somehow, possibly. Who knows? I don't freaking know. Deus Irae is all over the place, and it's one of those stories that you can try your best. I'm saying, if you've read the visual novel, folks, you have to understand that it's going to make sense to you, and you're going to be like, oh, I understand what's going on. Why doesn't someone else understand that? Listen, you read the visual novel or played the visual novel, it would make sense to you, obviously, because you know the story. For someone who's not read any of the source material from Beyond, this ain't going to make sense. And even if you didn't have, you shouldn't have to have played a visual novel to understand something. Chaos Child, for example. I have issues with Chaos Child. This is just an example. I also played and I reviewed actually the actual game that came out for visual novel, of Chaos Child. And I stumbled my words there for a second. I apologize, but because I'm getting kind of heated, so you get that kind of rush, and then you have to like dial it down, think of what you're saying. But I played the visual novel for Chaos Child, and I didn't need to know the source material of either Chaos Head or even of the anime. I understood it when I was playing it. I was like, oh, okay, this is happening. It's explained. That's with going knowledge into it of the anime to a certain degree, and also of the original series. So it's like, okay, that's a clear-cut way of doing things. Here's explanation. Here's how you go about it, etc. That's not happening with Deus Irae. We had episode 0 being confusing and all over the place. Then you had episodes 1 and 2 being even more confusing and all over the place. And then you have episode 3, which is starting to finally make a little bit of sense, mind you. But not that much yet. So please, if you're going to call me dumb, think logically for one moment. If this actually makes sense to someone who's never played the visual novel, and even more so, is understanding of the type of genre we're trying to go at. Supernatural stuff is best explained when you have an idea of what the hell's going on. Like, for example, this show's like Another, or even The King's Game as a more recent example. You are lost with that show. You're like, oh, what's the main enemy here? Is it one of the students? Is it, possibly a supernatural force? But the enemy is one of those two things. You have an idea that, okay, this is what the enemy is. This is what we're dealing with. This is what the concepts are at play. And this is what the drama is. With Deus Irae, it's all over the place. There's drama, there's people from the past, there's various mechanical forces in terms of plots being used that are like, oh, hey, we have this thing set up, so this way our future will be secured, and this way that we can keep... What the living hell? Does that make any sense to anyone? It does not make sense. I'm sorry. I really am apologizing to people who might be loving this show, and I feel like I'm shitstorming on your favorite show, but it's not good. It really isn't. It's not good right now. It really isn't. I'm going to keep with it, folks. I promised you I would review this all the way at the end, and I felt bad because I fell through on a few of my other shows that I wanted to review from beginning to end, but I had too much stuff already shot at me, so I couldn't do it. But this is a show that it has to pick up soon. It really does, because right now, it's not doing it for me, and it's getting worse in my head because I'm like, it's a struggle to even watch this show now. But hopefully, like I said, episode 3 has a semblance of a better story. Hopefully it gets better. We'll see what happens. Anyways, I do apologize for this rant. As I said before, I do not mean to insult anyone in my rant. Okay, mind you, it may come off that way because I'm insulting not really the person who insulted me, mind you, but insulting anyone that looks at me and goes, oh, you don't understand the plot, when I notice a lot of people then followed it up by, in the visual novel, this happened. You shouldn't have to use that as a primary defense tool, that because you understand the anime because of the visual novel. Because that's like giving someone a book saying, oh, you'll understand it, and if they don't understand it, it's because, it's like, why don't you understand? I understood because I read it all already. You read it, yes. You understand what happened in it, versus someone who has no idea what the heck's going on. There's a big difference between that. So, if you want to defend why Deus Irae is so great, listen, folks, feel free. My comment section is always open to people who disagree with me. I love that, because that's how the world works. People disagree with everyone to a certain extent. Comment down below. Tell me, what is it that I'm missing from Deus Irae? Explain it. But I swear, if I do see the following line, because I played the visual novel, or because I know the visual novel, I will then go, there's your point. I won't even say anything else. I'll be like, there's your point. That's it. Anyways, I will talk to you guys later. I hope you enjoyed this rant/review. Have a great, blessed day, everyone. God bless you all. Seriously. Bye-bye, everyone.